You ever watch a show, and the second you hear who they just cast, your jaw drops because it feels way too good to be true? That was me with Dexter, Resurrection. When they announced Uma Thurman was joining the series, it didn't just feel like extra hype, it felt like a statement. Like, oh man, they're actually swinging for the fences this time. They're not just reviving Dexter, they want this to be huge. Imagine, after everything, bringing in one of the most legendary actresses alive. The same Uma Thurman who owned Pulp Fiction, who killed her way through Kill Bill, who made Poison Ivy memorable even in one of the worst Batman films ever. This wasn't just casting. This was promising greatness. So why was it that after all the excitement, all the build-up, all the speculation, Uma Thurman ended up being one of the biggest wasted opportunities in TV history? Let me take you back to where this starts. Dexter as a franchise has had a complicated life, right? There's no apologizing for it. You had those early seasons that were groundbreaking, thrilling, addictive, the kind of television that made you literally rearrange your week just to catch it. And then, slowly, the cracks started to show. Storylines dragged, characters made decisions that felt forced, and then that infamous lumberjack ending came along. Fans felt burned, twice. By the time Dexter, Resurrection was announced, the collective reaction wasn't joy. It was, why? What are you doing, Showtime? Don't drag this corpse out again. But then, slowly, one announcement changed everything. Peter Dinklage, Eric Stonestreet, Neil Patrick Harris, Kristen Ritter, David Dastmalchian. This was not the usual Dexter stunt casting. And then boom, Uma Thurman. Suddenly, the whole conversation flipped. The disappointment turned into curiosity, then straight into hype. Like, how in the world are they pulling this off? And what kind of insane story must they have in store? Now here's the kicker. Dexter, Resurrection actually delivered a solid season. Better than most probably expected. But while so many roles shined, Thurman's character, this mysterious, intimidating, gun-wielding enforcer named Charlie, should have been unforgettable. She was set up as one of the most dangerous presences in the room. A woman who could stare down a killer and not flinch. The first time we see her, she's literally executing a serial killer who broke the boss's rules. That's badass. That's a statement. You instantly go, oh, she's going to be a problem. She's going to push Dexter to the edge. She's going to be crucial to whatever epic showdown we're building toward. But what do we get? Week after week, she's shadowing Peter Dinklage's Leon Prodder, standing in the background, shooting an icy stare here and there. Occasionally threatening Dexter's cover but never really changing the game. It starts feeling like the writers kept her around just to say, look, we got Uma Thurman. Isn't that enough? And here's where I want you to stop and really think, why does it hurt so much when a show wastes an actor like Thurman? It's not just about wasted talent. It's about everything she represents. Uma Thurman isn't just another recognizable name. She's a symbol of sharp, commanding screen presence. When she's in a story, you expect danger. You expect depth. You expect layers that sneak up on you and twist the whole show on its head. Thurman is the kind of actor who doesn't just play a role, she becomes its heartbeat. And instead of letting her run wild, instead of giving her one of those delicious, career-defining Dexter villains we know this show can craft, they sidelined her into the role of basically a security guard with a sad backstory. That hurts. Let me break it down. Because when you really look at what they gave us, it's kind of stunning. 1. They teased her abilities but never paid them off. Remember that badass opening move of hers? That was the high point. 2. They wasted her potential as Dexter's mirror. Thurman as Charlie was the one person who actually smelled something off about Dexter's new identity. That's gold. That's material for cat and mouse tension. But instead, it went nowhere. 3. Her backstory felt copy-pasted just to give her something. A tragic sick mother, a military past, debts owed to Leon Prodder. It's like they gave her a sheet of cliché motives instead of a real pulsing core. 4. All of this builds up to nothing. She walks away. That's it. No shocking betrayal. No final standoff. No revelation that she's darker than she appears. Just exits stage left. And 5. The final twist about her being Charlie Brown? That was supposed to be her most memorable moment? A bad name pun? No. No, no, no. That's not how you treat a legend. This feels like more than wasted talent, it feels like disrespect, even if unintentional. Because if you're going to bring on one of the A-list icons of the last 40 years, someone who literally defined iconic female anti-heroes in cinema, then the least you owe them is a character worth remembering. And the worst part is, you can see all the opportunities they could have taken. Imagine if she had secretly been another serial killer, someone who Dexter himself would eventually have to weigh the code against. Imagine if Charlie wasn't just protecting Leon but playing her own game behind the scenes. Imagine if she was the real nemesis of the season, pulling Dexter into a battle of menace and morality that would have rivaled John Lithgow's Trinity arc. That's what Thurman deserved. That's what the audience expected. Instead, what we got was a background character who barely scratched the surface. And I want to be real here. This speaks to a bigger problem with shows in general. Sometimes, they think that casting a big name is enough. That the impact comes from the announcement itself, from the hype generated by social media reactions. They forget that hype is fragile. Casting Uma Thurman doesn't matter unless you do something memorable with her. People don't tune in to see her name in the credits, they tune in to see her take over the screen. And Dexter, Resurrection teased us with one of the greatest setups in recent TV memory, only to backpedal and deliver safe, shallow arcs. That's the ultimate wasted promise. But let's widen the lens for a second. Uma Thurman herself is a chameleon of cinema. She's someone who's played everything, the cool enigmatic icon in Pulp Fiction, the fiery Avenger in Kill Bill, the seductive and campy Poison Ivy, the tragic flawed romantic lead in dramas like Gattaca. When you bring in an actor with that toolbox, the runway is infinite. And yet, here, you handed her nothing to play with. No contradictions. No big choices. No moments that stamp themselves in pop culture memory. You gave Thurman scraps, and she still managed to play Charlie with that intense stare and clipped tone that made her feel important. But just imagine how much more there could have been. Here's what stings the most, all the pieces were already in place. Peter Dinklage is a billionaire obsessed with serial killers? That's already a crazy solid setup. You put Uma Thurman right next to him as his deadliest ally, and you just know sparks should fly. That could have been a dynamic on par with shows like Hannibal, these eerie, twisted dances of loyalty and betrayal. But instead of fireworks, what we got was low-level flickers. And for a series reboot that was supposed to prove it wasn't afraid to go bold again, this felt like a cop-out. And let's talk about the missed cultural moment here. Television is filled with talk show clips, memes, and analysis videos whenever a truly great character electrifies viewers. If Thurman had been given a role that matched her skill, we would have been talking about Charlie alongside Trinity, alongside Lila, alongside Hannah. Instead, she doesn't even crack the conversation. People remember Angel Batista's fate, they remember Dinklage's creepy billionaire collector, they remember Dexter's double life in New York. But Charlie? She's a faint shadow, despite being played by one of the brightest lights. And that, for fans who tuned in week after week just waiting for Thurman's big oh my god moment, is crushing. So, where does that leave us? Honestly, in disappointment, but also with a lesson. Storytelling isn't about who's on your poster. It's about what you do with them. It's about risk, it's about giving your best actors material that challenges them, material that gives us audiences scenes that stay in our veins long after the credits roll. Dexter, Resurrection proved it could be daring again. But when it came to Thurman, it blanked. And for me, as a fan and as someone who loves watching legendary actors tear apart the screen, that hurts the most. Because we didn't just miss out on cool moments, we missed out on what could have been one of the greatest arcs in Dexter history. So let me leave you with this, it's not just about Uma Thurman. It's not just about Dexter. It's about all those times you felt a show or movie promised you something bigger, something game-changing only to give you less. That feeling of betrayal, where you know they could have gone there, but they didn't. That's what keeps audiences from trusting creators. That's what makes fans disconnect. Because at the end of the day, every wasted story beat, every wasted character, every wasted opportunity, it all adds up. And sooner or later, people stop showing up. If you're watching this, you're probably a fan who wanted Dexter, Resurrection to hit differently. Maybe you got swept up by the hype like I did. Maybe you kept waiting for Thurman's big moment, hoping, episode after episode, that this was the week she'd explode. And maybe you felt that sharp sting of disappointment when it never came. If that's you, you're not alone. Trust me, the community feels it. We all feel it. And that's why we keep talking about it, because wasted potential is almost worse than bad storytelling. It's not just failure, it's the refusal to reach for greatness when greatness is right there. If you want more conversations like this, raw, honest dives into the stories we love and the disappointments that haunt us, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to know, did you feel Uma Thurman was wasted here, or did you actually enjoy Charlie's quieter arc? And if you're as frustrated as I am about this missed chance, share this video, because somewhere out there, somebody needs to know they aren't alone in being let down. Together, We're not just viewers, we're a community that notices when something doesn't hit the way it should. And we say it out loud. Because if there's one thing this taught me, it's that casting legends isn't enough. You have to give them the story they deserve.